episode 345 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. I'll be talking about tonight's episodes of Impact Wrestling on Access TV and Ring of Honor on Honor Club. Right here, right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hello, Wrestling Fanatics. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. I am your host, Lance Brock. Once again, this week, going to be talking Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor once again. And I just want to say this will be a quick episode because I'll be up early in the morning to watch Impact Wrestling's Down Under tour in Australia, which here in Michigan starts at 5 a.m. Eastern on Fight TV. What I'm going to try to do is hopefully I will be able to do a recap on Good Morning Wrestling Fans tomorrow morning and recap the first night of the Australian tour from Impact Wrestling. There will be another show Saturday morning as a part of this 2-day tour. But first, let's get into tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling on Access TV this week. And we start things off with this episode taped this past weekend. Center stage in Atlanta, Georgia. The commentators, Tom Hannafan and Matthew Raywalt. We start things off with in-ring action for the Impact Wrestling X Division Championship on the line. One half of the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin, defending against Trey Miguel. These two work very well together. These two have another really good match, but this one ends in a disqualification when we see the return of a former partner of Trey Miguel in the Rascals, Zachary Wentz, making his return to Impact Wrestling. And then Alex Shelley, the other half of the Motor City Machine Guns, comes down, make the save for his tag team partner. The Impact World Champion chases them off. And now two of the Rascals are together again. Of course, the third member of the Rascals was Desmond Xavier, now Wes Lee in NXT. But I don't see him coming back to make a full reunion of the Rascals, but right now we got two of them back together, which I wouldn't be surprised soon if we see them in the tag team title picture. And Trinity takes on Jay Vidal and gets the victory. Vidal had Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans in her corner, and I don't remember if it's Friday's or Saturday's show, but Giselle Shaw will be challenging the Impact Knockouts champion Deonna Purrazzo for the Knockouts championship. And if Giselle Shaw wins, she will be added to the Knockouts title match at Slammiversary with Deonna Purrazzo and Trinity. And we see the Impact Wrestling on Access TV debut of Lio Rush. He defeats Jack Price. Masha Slamovich defeat Kylie King with Taylor Wilde in her corner. And then after the match, Kylie King and Taylor Wilde attempt a 2-on-1 attack on Masha Slamovich. And then Killer Kelly makes her way down to the ring to make the save. And Tom Hannafan and Matt Raywalt do a good job on commentary explaining that the feud that these two have had recent months, they have earned a respect for each other. And Kenny King with Sheldon Jean in his corner defeats Yua Uemura. Pretty good match here. And then after the match, we see the Impact Wrestling Digital Media Champion Joe Hendry makes his way to the stage and has a new song and music video for Kenny King. And in the final segment of the night, we have the national treasure, Nick Aldis, make his way to the ring to explain his actions for when he attacked Alex Shelley. And Alex Shelley comes out and Nick Aldis tells him to get in the front row with the mouth breathers. And he explains how Alex Shelley talks about all the wrestlers of today he helped out. And then Nick Aldis says how he learned under legends such as Harley Race, Ric Flair, and others. And Alex Shelley gets into the ring, and at this time, Lio Rush attacks Alex Shelley. And then, or actually first, I got that a little backwards. Nick Aldis attacked Alex Shelley, and then Chris Sabin comes out to make the save, and then Lio Rush comes in and attacks. And then Aldis and Rush leave the Motor City Machine Guns lane. So as of right now, Nick Aldis and Alex Shelley will face off for the Impact World Championship at Slammiversary. And it looks like we will be getting for the X Division Championship, Lio Rush challenging against Chris Sabin, which should be a very entertaining match with those two in there. Looking forward to that one. If it does happen, we will just have to wait and see. And now at this time, we go over to Honor Club. Time for Ring of Honor Wrestling this week. And we kick things off, which I just want to state first, matches from tonight's episode of Ring of Honor are in 2 different cities and 3 different arenas. Some of the matches were in Toronto, Toronto, that's right, at the Scotiabank Arena, and matches were also in Chicago at the Wintrust Arena and the United Center last Saturday night at Collision. So, that being said, our first match of the night, and before I forget, commentators tonight, Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman. And our first match of the night, Preston Vance and Dralistico defeating Mark Wheeler and Viking Prasher. The Dark Order take on the Righteous with Stu Grayson in their corner. And Stu Grayson gets involved. Vincent pins Alex Reynolds. And after the match, they go on to attack John Silver and Alex Reynolds. And then is Evil Uno coming out to make the save for his teammates. And then he comes face to face with a former teammate, former Dark Order member Stu Grayson. And Grayson is daring him, challenging him to hit him with the chair. But Evil Uno, he's conflicted and he just can't bring himself to hitting his former longtime partner, the Super Smash Brothers, and then into the Dark Order. He just can't do it. And then the Righteous escape, which then John Silver and Alex Reynolds are upset with Evil Uno because he didn't hit him. And of course, if you saw Dynamite last night, looked like the heel turn of the Dark Order when they did not help out Hangman Adam Page when he was being beat down by the BCC. But we will have to wait and see what happens with the Dark Order on both Dynamite and Ring of Honor television. And Diamante defeats Layla Gray in a pretty good match. The Lucha Brothers, Commander and El Hijo del Vikingo, defeat the Workhorsemen, Shane Taylor and Gringo Loco in an 8-man tag. Big Bill and Lee Moriarty defeat Tarek and Carew. The Embassy defeat Los Incapables de Japón. Good match there. Definitely worth checking that one out. El Desperado defeats Willie Mack. And Roppongi Vice defeats Show and Yujiro Takahashi. And Action Andretti and Darius Martin, along with the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels, defeat the team of Kyle Fletcher, Jeff Cobb, and TJP, the United Empire. The Ring of Honor Women's Champion Athena defeats Casey Spinelli. And in the main event of Ring of Honor this week, the Ring of Honor World Champion Claudio Castagnoli defeats Chuck Taylor. Pretty good match here, but I'm going to say real great or anything, but still a good match. And pretty good episode of Ring of Honor this week. Had some good wrestling on it. And also, I thought a pretty good episode of Impact this week. And speaking of Impact Wrestling, like I said, I'll be up early in the morning to watch the Down Under tour, the first night, or at least it will be night in Australia, morning here in the United States and the rest of North America. Looking forward to that. There should be some good matches on the show. And then later tomorrow night, got WWE Friday Night SmackDown and AEW Rampage. So hopefully, hope to have another episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic tomorrow night. And then sometime Saturday night, probably a live episode, hopefully recapping WWE Money in the Bank and AEW Saturday Collision. So stay tuned for those shows. And thank you for tuning in tonight on 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Feel free to leave in the comment section, either here on Spreaker or whichever podcast app or website you listen to on, what your thoughts on Impact Wrestling this week and Ring of Honor, and predictions for Money in the Bank as well. And before I wrap up this podcast, a couple pro wrestling news and notes. Kenny Omega and Wheeler Yuta has been added for next week's Dynamite on July 5th. And it has been announced StarCast is returning. Will be in Chicago for All Out Weekend. And CM Punk will be a guest commentator for a match for AEW Collision this Saturday, which will be the first taped episode of Collision, was taped tonight. Like I always say, I do not read spoilers. And a little more Impact news as well. Darren McCarty is going to be the special guest enforcer for the tag team match. Scott D'Amore and PCO taking on Bully Ray and Steve Macklin. And AEW Grand Slam has been announced for this September, returning once again for the third year at Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens, New York. So far, the first two Grand Slams have been very entertaining. I have enjoyed both. And that's all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Remember, I hope to have a recap of tomorrow morning's Impact Wrestling Down Under Tour Night 1. And I might do it at a different time. And I might try, if I can talk, I might try to make it a longer episode with more of a better recap. So I might do it before I actually leave to go to work tomorrow morning. And then hope to be back later for 360 Wrestling Fanatic with a SmackDown and Rampage recap. But thank you once again for tuning in tonight. Hope everyone has a great Friday morning as we head into that now. But until then, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.